The Fomhoire are otherworldly monsters, often depicted as giants with various animalistic features. They can have multiple appendages or lack various limbs. They represent chaos and antagonism to rival the serene and godlike nature of the Tuatha De Danann. Their warlike and destructive nature constantly leads them into battles with various factions of the Irish mythological heroes. Diagwich. Today we'll be discussing the Fomhoire, the big bad of Irish mythology. While they're mainly featured in the mythological cycle as the bitter enemies of the Tuatha De Danann, they appear throughout the 4 cycles as opponents for the heroes of the age to test their mettle. But let's not put the cart before the horse. For this one, we're going way back. So without further ado, let's get into where they first appear. The Fomhoire first appear in the Leabhar Gabhála Éireann, or the Book of Invasions of Ireland. This book details the first 5 groups that inhabited Ireland before the Celts came and claimed shotgun on the whole thing. If you're feeling a little lost on who these guys are... Oh, there's a link to a video on the first 3 groups. How did that get there? Shoo, get away. Anyhow, while this medieval text tells us about the first 5 races to invade Ireland, it certainly has a bias against the Fomhoire because despite mentioning them in 4 out of the 5 groups to arrive in Ireland, basically everyone after Cessair, they are never considered a race worthy of being labelled among the invaders. There's a legit argument to be made that they are possibly the first inhabitants of Ireland, because Cessair and the first group were collectively in Ireland for about 40 days before Noah's flood wiped them all out. By the time of the next group of invaders, the Partholonians, 300 years had passed and the Fomhoire were already there. So who knows? My headcanon points to the Fomhoire being the first true inhabitants of Ireland anyhow. Which, if you look at it through this lens, no wonder they're so warlike. People keep fucking invading them all the time, man. You'd be a bit mistrustful of strangers if every time you turn around there's a new group of assholes trying to vanquish you, just cause you've got 6 arms or a goat head. Fucking prejudice, man. We'll put a pin in that idea for a moment anyhow. It's a fun idea, but by all accounts the Fomhoire are a cruel, chaotic, warlike race of underworld demons. Yeah, this isn't a modern Hollywood Game of Thrones where the concept of good versus evil goes to die, or maybe Cruella de Vil isn't an evil puppy-killing psychopath kind of a story. Put it like this, when you started every battle you've ever been in across all of Irish mythology, you're the problem. So while the people of Partholon and the Firbolg had battles with the Fomhoire, they're more vague tit-for-tat kind of affairs. The first big skirmish we see is with the Numidians, the 3rd group to attempt the taming of Ireland. Nemed's people initially did well against the Fomhoire once they arrived, but after a plague took Nemed out, things started to turn. The Fomhoire ended up taxing the hell out of the Numidians. This being a time before any real currency, this took the form of their harvest and their children, which, as you can imagine, didn't go down very well. There were a few revolts, one of which the Numidians actually managed to kill one of the Fomhoire kings, who were the source of their oppression. Conan was his name, and he was killed in the Battle of Conan's Tower. While this victory gave hope to the remainder of Nemed's people, this was only one of the 2 Fomhoire kings, and the remaining one, Mork, now sought revenge. Eventually regrouping after the attack, the Fomhoire counter-attack utterly devastated the remainder of Nemed's people. The survivors, scattered and unorganised, were once more brutally subjugated by the Fomhoire. A last attempt at revolt was made soon after, but the Fomhoire were just too numerous. The last of the Numidians were a group of 30 warriors who fled Ireland for various parts of the world. And what? You can learn about what happened to them in the same video I mentioned earlier? Oh god. Oh man, that's crazy. In any case, this is actually the only war in all of Irish mythology where the Fomhoire outright dominate another group and without question win the day. This moment in Irish mythology is what I like to call the Infinity War end. The heroes have just been spanked by the villains, most of them are dead, but a very small amount of hope still endures in the remaining band that survived. Now comes the 5th group of the Leabhar Gabhála, the Tuatha De Danann. The story starts with Bress and the aftermath of the first battle of Moig Turra. This was the battle between the Firbolg and the Tuatha De Danann to see who gained rule over Ireland. Nuada, the Tuatha De Danann's king, loses an arm in the fight against the Firbolg. and is now, by Celtic law, no longer able to keep his rule, because, according to them, no man not of perfect shape is fit to rule his people. Once Nuada steps down, Bress ascends to the throne. The reason that this is important to the overall story is that, unbeknownst to the Tuatha De Danann, Bress is actually half Fomorian. Through Bress, the Fomhoire start doing their patented move of taxing the fuck out of whoever they are trying to exert control over. This doesn't sit well with the Tuatha De Danann, and once Dian Cecht's son, Miach, restores Nuada's arm through some hocus-pocus shenanigans, some classic Celtish trickery, they reinstate him as king and oust Bress from his position. So angered was he by this betrayal that the semi-Fomhoire travels with his mom to the land of the Fomhoire to seek aid in destroying the Tuatha De Danann and taking Ireland by force. He finds the king of the Fomhoire, Balor of the Evil Eye, who, as you might guess, was famous for his ability to deal death to any man that he met with his venomous eye, and with little effort, for the Fomhoire utterly despises the Tuatha De Danann, Bress convinced them to invade Ireland. In short, the battle was devastating for both sides, and many epic confrontations arose, which I'll go into more detail on in later videos. But the deciding point of the battle was the Tuatha De Danann's champion, Lugh the Longhand, and his clash with Balor of the Evil Eye. Lugh was also half a Fomhoire himself, being in fact the grandson of Balor. He chose to fight for the Tuatha De Danann, and in the end slew his grandfather by using a sling to strike Balor's deadly eye. Blinded, his eye turned its destructive power on his own ranks, leading the Tuatha De Danann to victory, though at heavy cost to the Tuatha De's ranks. The second battle of Mai Tura, which it was known as ever after, was the endgame to the Nemedians' Infinity War. The good guys are victorious and honour the dead before them by vanquishing the evil that had almost destroyed them all. Bress is soon captured, and what happens to him, you ask? Is he tortured, thrown in the sea, burned at the stake? I mean, he's at least executed, right? Nope. They let him go in exchange for some farming tips. No, seriously, they actually let him go in exchange for farming tips. What? I mean, I understand turning the other cheek, but this guy tried to wipe yous off the face of the earth shortly after trying to tax yous off the face of the earth. Like, at least have him executed. But no, we want some agricultural tips. Like, my guy, have you seen Ireland? The soil is some of the most fertile in the world. It's not like you're in a fucking desert. Like, what do you mean you need the secrets of agricultural prosperity? Throw a fucking potato in the ground and remember where you put it. It's literally as simple as that. God, in any case, this tale marks what is essentially the end of the Fomhoirian race. While not explicitly stated that they're totally wiped out, this is the last of the core texts that they actually appear in. They're mentioned in each of the cycles afterwards, in the Ulster cycle, in stories like Catmaig Macrumma, and in the Pursuit of Dermot and Grania in the Fenian cycle. But they never appear as characters or an antagonistic force for our heroes to rally against again. The Fomhoire, while being a cruel and destructive race, represent an actually important role in Irish mythology. The Tuatha De Danann, Nemedians, Firbolg and Partholonians are constantly threatened to be overcome by the Fomhoire. I think that the constant battling against this singular, seemingly unrelenting, endless and tirelessly hateful race represents an early grappling with the chaotic nature of the world. Despite the Fomorian forces being beaten back time and time again, they always seem to come back stronger. However, the Tuatha De Danann show that despite overwhelming odds, given the opportunity, man can rise above the destructive forces of the world, and that even if it is at a heavy cost, it is worth doing. How you doing? If you've reached this point in the video, I'd like to ask that you give it a like, comment and subscribe. Helps me out in the algorithm. Cheers.